Welcome! I'm Sandra. We're back in the forest, and I'm hoping for it to ground me as I dive into a pretty vulnerable subject with you today, which is my Kundalini awakening experience. And so I've shared with you my spiritual journey before, or parts of it. This is the one part that I have only shared with a few trusted friends before, for good reason. However, I'm feeling more and more called to share this with more people because it is such a big part of my path, of my purpose, really. So I will share some bits about my journey and also where that might lead. Okay, so for me, as for many people, it is quite hard actually to pinpoint when my Kundalini awakening experience started. But I will start in 2019 because after years of already diving into yoga, the philosophy, the meditation, everything, I took the step to do my first yoga teacher training. And it was a magical experience in all ways. So I did my teacher training in Costa Rica, in the deep jungles of Costa Rica, with Adi Shakti, amazingly powerful teacher who got her name from her direct teacher in India as per tradition. And Adi has this deep purpose in her work of bringing up the inner feminine to empowerment, and this is something that resonated with all of us who were there. So we were not only having this teacher training, but we were having an opportunity, or many opportunities, for deep transformation together. So for me, it was actually the first time that I experienced having a safe sisterhood around me, having people around me every day who could really hold me in my emotions, in my vulnerability. And I did cry a lot with that experience. It was a beautiful and releasing experience for me. But that was not all. Apart from all the practices that we did for becoming yoga teachers, there were also a lot of powerful practices to help unlock our own power within. So there were, for example, the Kundalini class was with Kundalini Asana was an extremely powerful experience, which was very emotional for many people. And we had a lot of ceremonies of letting go, of releasing, like fire ceremonies, and of role play, and learning to become who we most want to be and express that together with others. And so this was actually the first time, and this is why I'm bringing it up, this was the first time that I shared publicly my very secret so far desire that had grown within me and now had become so strong I had to express it, that I want to experience union within this lifetime. And with union, what I mean and meant then was feeling this awareness, if we want to call it, some call it God or God awareness, feeling that as an embodied experience within me. So not just this Buddhistic thought of leaving the body behind, like transcending the body to experience God, but really to feel that aliveness within me, feeling the life force within me. That's why I was there, or part of why I was there. So when I put words to this in front of others for the first time, I feel that this is really when my life started changing course. Now I had an intention, now I had a direction. And I noticed over time after this that I was feeling this growing urge to practice devotion in my life. I wasn't sure exactly to what yet, but I knew it was something about the divine, something about the devotion to the soul, to love, and I started practicing that devotion to love as best I could in situations in everyday life. And so serendipitously, I got the opportunity to meet Nir, who was a bhakti monk. And bhakti is the devotional tradition in yoga. So even within that, of course, there are branches, there are aspects, but this one really, really called to my heart, because it wasn't at all about deserting the normal, everyday working life to become a monk. Of course, some choose that, but in essence, it's about embracing all of life as it is, embracing the challenging relationships, embracing work, whatever it is we do, and find a sense of devotion within that, find a sense of purpose, of love within that. So it's really about what attitude really we bring into everything that we do. But it's not just attitude, because that comes from the mind. This comes from the heart. It comes from that deep source of why. And so I wanted to connect to that, because I had felt very profound glimpses before of what that could mean. And I really, really wanted to bring more of that into longer felt experiences in my life, even to have that every day, every moment of my life, if I could, right? So I was very attracted to these teachings. And so when Nir began arranging this series of workshops or meetings with his master Gunavatar, I was absolutely delighted. I had a lot of questions to ask, and this bhakti path did make a profound impact on me. However, as often happens, life took over, and in my case, that was not very strange at all, actually, because what was beginning to happen in my life was a complete unraveling in the seams. And in a way, I can see now in retrospect that this was all by intent. In a way, I had to experience everything that I had to experience so that I could find myself and align to myself. But at the time, it felt like everything was falling apart. So I will tell you how this happened, and this is the part that I haven't told that many. Okay, so the first thing that happened was that Naman came into my life, a seriously gifted energy worker. Naman has Kundalini ignition as his specialty, and he truly does have the gift to spark the fire of Kundalini within you. I felt that so strongly in my body that I just couldn't explain it away. And I will tell you what happened, even though it's quite intimate. I was sitting down on my meditation cushion for the first time. I was going to receive this energy healing from him. And I was expecting something like Reiki, which for me usually feels like a loving, nurturing energy. Maybe something is released. There is some relaxation, relieving energy, and this was not really that at all. What I started to experience was a major sensation of orgasm. And so actually this is not so strange, because what we're working with is Kundalini. Okay, so Kundalini, what that is the animating force of this universe. So everything that is alive because of Kundalini. So it's an inherently creative energy, it's life force energy. And when we feel it in the lower part of our body, which is where it starts and which is where I started, that part of the body is very much geared to the sensations in the body, feeling safe, first of all, protected, and being in a body, and sexuality, reproduction. So this is the kind of things that come up when Kundalini is moving in this region. So what came up for me after this was a period of healing, all kinds of body issues that I had been carrying with me all life. And not least, I discovered just how much I had repressed of sexuality. It's not like I'd been a nun before, but we have so much power, so many aspects of sexuality that we don't even know of. It's incredible. So he helped me kickstart this Kundalini rising, and And with that, all of this came up for me to heal through bringing my awareness to it. So it wasn't like a difficult period that with that for me, because it was already coming up to awareness. I didn't have to work for it. It was just bubbling up naturally. And so it healed just by me becoming aware of it. But we only had a few sessions together, and most of my work hence was for me to begin to unravel the knots of trauma, of faulty beliefs that had kept my life force from flowing freely in my system. Because this is why Kundalini isn't always active. It's basically us suppressing it. It's us rejecting life in all kinds of ways. And so I had learned through him what Kundalini feels like in my body. So through that I could begin the process of feeling what works to keep my energy active and alive, and what makes it feel suppressed again. And so the second thing that happened after this, which is very understandable in a way, is that it triggered the separation with me and my soulmate of 14 years. And we loved each other. It was a horrible experience, and overnight, more or less, I had the experience that I lost everything. So I lost not only him, but my dream home in the world. I lost the lifestyle that we had carefully and joyfully created together, and now I was completely on my own. It was the ultimate uncertainty. I had to start to figure out a way to rebuild myself from scratch. And this was my blessing in disguise. This is what I really needed to find self-love from the ground up. So what I did was to begin to really take it seriously, to heal my childhood wounds, learning and understanding my upbringing, and letting all those houses of cards from all the faulty beliefs I've ever had just fall one by one. You know, it's a very long and very painful process if you're determined to do it all. But I didn't really feel like I had a choice anymore, like I had burned all the bridges. So I found Teals One, the controversial spiritual teacher who I quickly came to love. I believe she's controversial because she goes straight to the root and she doesn't hide anything, you know, away. She can get very triggering to us if we're not prepared to deal with what comes up from the truths that, well, she teaches. And yeah, it's triggering, but learning from her really helped me understand and feel in my own body that we can actually find resolve to our emotional wounds. So her completion process helped me this way to listen to those deeply hidden truths that I didn't even know were there, like I had suppressed them all my life. And through this process of learning to be with myself, of learning to meet my needs, I was also learning to trust myself. So I had 2 years of basically constant triggers of all kinds, a string of soulmate relationships with beautiful mirroring, where I learned different aspects of myself that I had been not seeing in myself before. And I was learning to listen to those, meet those, embrace those aspects of myself, and even love all of those aspects and love all of my emotions. So what happens if we go deeply enough into an emotion that we are avoiding, and if we do that for enough times, that we learn that it's actually not dangerous. Even as we've been avoiding it for a lifetime, it's not actually dangerous. And so we become able to actually change our relationship with that emotion. So it is easier to learn to love them when we see that they're all just protecting vulnerable parts of ourselves. It's like this inner little child just screaming to be seen and held and loved. And yeah, so when I learned to give myself all that with every single emotion, this not only created self-trust within different parts of myself and more of a feeling of uniting different part of myself, but it also built my feeling of inner strength and self-empowerment, because I found that I could always, no matter what happened, rely on myself. I can get through anything simply by rooting in my own love. And so over time, this also taught me to take my power back, because I had previously been projecting quite a lot of power onto others and to situations. And we all do this. We think, if that happens, I'll be happy. If that happens, I'll be sad. Or if that person leaves me, I'll be sad. If that person leaves my life, I'll be happy, you know. Or we care about how others perceive us. We think it is important for our life what other people think of us. You know, so much power we give away in our everyday lives. And I have grown up enmeshed, so there were no boundaries around emotions. I never really learned to contain my own emotions and to set boundaries. So this was another aspect that I really learned to do during those 2 years. And in essence, what I did during all of this time with all of these triggers was to create a safe container for myself, that my soft, my vulnerable parts could begin to come forth feeling safe and flourish. And so hidden parts of me that had been suppressed for a lifetime were beginning to come out in processes like shamanic processes, or just walking out in the forest, really. Because they were safe to come forward. And so I began to integrate more and more different parts of myself, taking my power back every time within that specific aspect. And so I recognized in my own body that the power is always mine to do and to feel what I want with every aspect. So whether it's sexuality or creativity or my emotions, I can give myself what I need. Like, I can experience wonderful things with other people, but ultimately the power and the responsibility is always with me to give myself what I need. So I can communicate that with others if I want to experience it with others, but the responsibility is mine. And specifically for this video with Kundalini, I recognize my own power, that the Kundalini energy is mine alone. So no one else has power over it, and I can give myself my own spark. And this was really powerful for me, because I've always felt like Kundalini awakening is something, you know, out there, and I can't really control that. It's like having a God experience. It's by grace. And to a big extent, this is true. Like, I do not believe that we can experience Kundalini awakening before our whole system, our body, mind, energy, spirit is ready for it. But once we are, we do have a lot of control, and that control does not lie with another, it lies with ourselves. And not only that, I've come to really see through my own experience how we truly all are powerful creators of our own lives. Like, the essence of us really is much bigger than this body and this brain and this mind. We are joyful creators, painting our lives on this canvas of life. So this is something that I know many will have resistance to, because I've tried that and it didn't work. And how can I, how can I embody that? How can I see that become my actual lived reality? Well, I would say, first of all, what I've been talking about with parts work, basically, to rediscover all these different parts within ourselves that have been unconscious for most of our lives or all of our lives. that brings up the inner conflicts that are keeping us from moving with all our energy aligned towards a certain thing. So if you have a desire, you can experience that desire being met. However, all parts of you need to be more or less on the same path in order for that to easily align, in order for you to feel like a powerful creator. So this is really the purpose of the work that I am doing and have been doing. Okay, so in the workshop about empowered Kundalini awakening that is coming up soon, these will be some of the key points of exploration. How can you be empowered to connect to your own Kundalini energy in your own body? And what does that feel like to you? And what practices might work for you to connect with it, to work with it, to spark your own Kundalini? And why do you want to do it? And what are you prepared to invest in it? And finally, and importantly, how can you take good care of yourself if you're in this process? And if you are already in this process and are having Kundalini awakening symptoms, how can you deal with this in a good way? So these are all questions that I want to explore with you, along with much more. I will also offer a long, wonderful guided meditation empowered by Shakti Reiki healing. So the energy helps you relax into a state of consciousness where you can more easily tune into the sensations of your life force, connect with it, and maybe even work with it. Yeah, so if this sounds like something that you're curious to learn more about, know that this is the perfect opportunity right now, because with all the experience that I have working with myself and with others in the Kundalini awakening journey, this is actually the first time that I'm holding a public workshop on it. So it is a learning experience for me too, exciting, and I'm keeping the price a very affordable sliding scale from €222, and still the content is extremely powerful. If you are sincerely interested in this journey, there is a lot for you to bring home, and it really can open doors to powerful transformation. That is always my purpose with all of my work, that you can go home with more aliveness, with more joy, with more love in your life, okay, with more appreciation. So I only ask of you, if you want to come, that you bring a genuine interest in getting to know your own Kundalini energy, an openness to learn more, and if you have wisdom from your own journey and you want to share with the others, then you're very welcome to do so. And yeah, if this sounds like something for you, then please reach out to me or sign up with the link below. And if not, I'm still very grateful for your presence with me today, and I hope this contains some grain of inspiration for anyone that was present to watch. Thank you for joining. Have a beautiful day.